2nd. It's DJ Ash Noble here. Welcome back to another stream. Welcome back to another This Weekend's Antics. This is going to be the last This Weekend's Antics for a while because the next sort of 4 or 5 weeks for the next 3 weeks I've got a booking on the weekend, so it'll be an aftermath of the booking. And then I think the following week I've actually got I'm actually at like a work event, which is like a during the daytime thing, and I'm not sure what I'm doing sort of on the evening. So there might be an antics that weekend in about 3 weeks time, but if not, then there won't be one for a good while because it's like bookings and bookings and bookings galore. Something happening practically every weekend. But this weekend has by all means definitely been quite an interesting weekend, and it's not been the best weekend, but it's been a really awesome weekend at the same time. So so let's begin on the story of what's happened this weekend, and then I'll just give you a few little updates and stuff. I had a track come out on Friday, so we'll talk about that, and we'll just have a little bit of an update in that sense. So Friday was a chilled day for me. I didn't do anything on Friday other than really sort of stay at home, and I was just sort of chilling, and I had a little bit of like FL time, and did a few different things, and just had a bit of a mix and stuff, and didn't really do anything too exciting. And then Saturday was the exciting day because it was No Man's Land Outdoors, which No Man's Land Outdoors, the event hasn't ran since before COVID, and they brought the event back this year to a brand new location, and they had a stacked up lineup with the likes of Scott Brown, JTS, there was J Trax, there was Snipes and Murph, there was headlining the joint was the incredible, amazing world's #1 hardcore DJ, DJ Gamma, alongside the only person I think one of the best combinations in hardcore was the Dougal and Gamma with the MC WizKid era, and WizKid hosted the set, and then there was also Lange, who played an absolutely belting like sort of classic Kevin and Perry sort of trancey anthems, and that was a really good set actually. It was really good. So yeah, so the event took place just outside of Doncaster on like a bit of land in the middle of nowhere, and it was right beside a lake, and the sun was just absolutely belting the whole day. It started at like 2:30 in the afternoon, and the event went all the way through until 10:30 in the evening. And like I said, the whole sort of like the whole day was we were just surrounded by heat, and it wasn't till sort of like 7:30, 8 o'clock that the sun sort of started to, it was sort of slowly starting to set. More so probably about 8:30 going up for 9, but it did get a little bit shadier sort of around the 7:30 point. But the heat was there. It was in like a 27 degrees heat or something, which was just absolutely incredible. There was this outdoor stage, which was absolutely amazing. All I kept wanting to do all the time was jump into the lake, but you weren't allowed. And obviously, if they wanted people to jump in the lake, they'd have to then like hire, like lifeguards, and put all the safety there, within allowing people to like jump into a lake and stuff. And the lake would probably have to be like risk assessed or something like that. Like, would it be safe for people to jump in? When it's part of an event, you're not just going there at your own risk and jumping in. You're part of an event, and it's part of the event to sort of make sure that you're safe when you're sort of like on their grounds, if you like. It's their grounds for the event, do you know what I mean? So they probably didn't allow it for people to jump in the river, which it is a shame, but you can understand obviously why, they wouldn't allow it. But it would have been nice if people could have just like took a top off and, dived into the river or something like that. I made the horrible mistake of putting jeans on and not actually putting shorts on, and I absolutely roasted all day. It was like it was so hot. The tunes were so banging, but the weather was so hot, and there was obviously like a bar area, and all I've got to say is that the drinks were actually quite limited, which I was a little bit gutted about. Like there was Tango and water as far as soft drinks go. There was no like cans of Coke or cans of Pepsi, or I think like they should have maybe like put a little bit more sort of like selection into the drinks. And one thing that was a real big surprise for me is there was actually they didn't put no food on. So there was no like food van, there was no like burger van. And that's what was missing. That, a food place, like just someone knocking out some burgers and some hot dogs, would just absolutely have just, made the event like even more better than it already was. And like it really needed something because we got there about half two, quarter to three, and I hadn't eaten anything. I'd only had like a tiny little bit of food at home, thinking like, it's an outdoor thing. There's going to be a burger van, so I will be able to get myself a burger, a little bit later on and stuff. And there was just no food place, which was a little bit of a letdown. So I got very hungry, sort of towards sort of that like 5 o'clock tea time. But we're in the middle of nowhere. It's not like you can just pop out of the event. Like, if you're in a nightclub and, walk up to your nearest McDonald's, it's, you've got a bit of a drive to do that. And, you're in the middle of nowhere. So it's not all, not the easiest thing to do. And, you were just surrounded by the pure heat, which isn't the event's fault. You can't alter the weather, but it was just far too warm. And they could have, I suppose, instead they could have put some more like shady areas, a little bit more sort of area to sit down. You was very, when you was on that sort of like what we'd class as the dance floor area, where where the stage and all that was, there was no shade. You were just literally, there was just pure sun on you all day, and there was ladies that were waving them little fans about, trying to keep cool. There was blokes like myself taking their tops off, and the whole place was just like being stood in a massive outdoor sauna, which was like I say, it was a real heat wave, most definitely. So the DJ sets, they were absolutely wicked. Like you could not fault the sets. Like all the sets were banging. One of my favourite sets was actually Lange's set. He played a really sort of like really good classic trance sort of not always vocally, but it was like a real sort of classic Kevin and Perry. There was like CRW Feel Love in there. There was that I've got something you need. I think it's is it Signum? What you got for me? That's what the track's called. And there was loads of classics in there. Loads of real feel good classic tracks. And he just played like a really good set. Scott Brown went B2B with JTS, and there was ELL and Doma on the mic, which just absolutely dominated the set. Scott Brown played, a lot of his classics. There was loads of classic tracks in there, and just some absolute belters. And then JTS came in and played some absolute bangers alongside, Scott Brown himself. And then Gamma came on, and just dominated the whole thing. Like if you've not seen Gamma live, which I know if you're a big hardcore head and you're definitely a lot older than me, you'd have had the privilege to have seen him, in the prime hardcore days where we would have been like B2B with Dougal at like HDID and stuff. But honestly, like he just literally like worked that mixer like it was his own, and like literally the guy was just so talented on the decks. Like it was just like he'd get the next track and he'd scratch it in, and then as soon as he stopped scratching it, like he just dropped it, and it was in on time, without even using the headphones. And the whole set was just, it was just absolutely fire, and like each track just blended into each other, and everything about the set was just incredible. Like something like, you just don't witness, like with with a lot of other DJs. Like, there's people that'll just like double drop the hardcore drops, and then there's people that'll really let the tracks play out, and they'll mix out right at the end, and then none of the basses actually like drop with each other. So like you've got one bass finishing and then the next bass starting, and but Gamma just does a really unique style of just scratching in and mashing up and dropping stuff, just that you wouldn't expect someone to drop at that point of a track, and then he does, and he makes it work, and he just does something so incredible. His energy is really good. Little bit of a show off as well. He was like sat there like that with his elbow on the jog wheel of the track that he's like thinking like, oh, what track do I play next? And he was almost thinking like, like someone who's like, this is too easy for me, like, like these would all go. Which one do I play? Like, not like he's having to even like struggle and think about what track he's gonna play next. Just like, he could drop this in, he could drop this in, he could drop this in, and it'd work. And he just played a really, really belting set. And sadly, WizKid couldn't find the location. For some reason, his sat nav was taking him to the wrong place, and he was a little late for the set. But as soon as he came on and you just heard his voice on that mic, and you could see Gamma there on the decks, it just felt like the old days. And for me, in the hardcore, like a lot of people love the days of the Vibes and Lively, and people nowadays like the club filler at MC Storm. But for me, there was just no better feeling than Dougal and Gamma and WizKid, or just the Gamma and WizKid. Gamma and WizKid, when Gamma did solo sets, that was a big thing as well. And I don't know, there's just something about that sort of like Gamma and WizKid that works. And I think one of the reasons why it works so well is because I think Dougal, Gamma, and WizKid, that they formed such a great friendship, that WizKid sort of knew Dougal and Gamma's tracks like the back of his hands. And because he's hosted them for that many years, and he's hosted them that many times, that you just know someone's style, like you know someone's way of doing things, and you expect like how people are going to mix. And because again, certain tracks that come in, how to host them, and because you've just genuinely been around and been in that scene for so long. But it just creates such like an amazing sort of like combination that I just don't think you get. Because you can get some MCs that will host a set and they'll be a little bit weary and they're not too sure of the track, or that they don't always know if the vocal's going to come in, or whereas like when it's a Gamma on a WizKid set, like sorry, a WizKid on a Gamma set, you just know that WizKid, it just knows how it's going to go down. And WizKid just, like I say, knows how to work with Gamma. So it just, honestly, it just felt so good hearing WizKid's voice on the microphone, and then hearing Gamma just doing his absolutely amazing mixing, dropping in a few classics, and then dropping in some absolutely belting stuff that WizKid just loved. And you could tell like the love like that WizKid had for being on the stage with Gamma at that point. And just the fact that and up until just recently, WizKid had not hosted Gamma for a lot of years. There was Gamma had sort of taken this sort of break out of sort of hardcore, and was doing a lot of stuff in America, and playing these sort of like big hard style EDM sort of sets. And didn't really come back to sort of like UK gigs and playing at the warehouse and stuff, and until sort of recently. And then putting WizKid back on the mic for that old days combination, it's taken WizKid right back, and you can tell he's just so glad to be able to like do some sets with with Gamma again. It was an amazing set for Gamma. And then Lukey P and Ricky Gray came on and played a bounce set after, which it was a good set. I enjoyed it as a set. It wasn't by far, it wasn't my most favourite set of the night, and I just think because of the way the festival had gone, sort of like throughout the day, coming in with that sort of bounce set just didn't really. Like it was a good set, but I just don't think it fit the theme. Personally, I just think it was a little bit sort of just like it didn't, like it was just a little bit of a change because everything sort of beforehand had just felt that like little bit harder, and even when Lange came in with a trance, it felt a little bit harder than the bounce, even though it was like a little bit slower. It just felt harder, and it just felt more like it fit the theme of the festival. And then you had all like the harder stuff and the hardcore, and the bounce just seemed to come in a little bit light and cheesy. And that's not me saying, I love bounce, and I do, and I mix bounce a lot, and it's one of my favourite genres of music at the moment. But I just definitely think for that festival, it suited that more harder edge stuff, like the hardcore and reverse bass and hard trance and stuff. It just seemed to fit the theme just a little bit more better than having like cheesy sort of vocal bounce anthems. Unfortunately, but that wasn't to say that it was a bad set, because it wasn't. It was it wasn't an amazing set. It was absolutely amazing. But like I say, I just think personally that the harder edge stuff seemed to go down a little bit more well. Like, when Scott Brown and Gamma was on stage, the whole place was, everybody was rammed and sort of near the stage area. And then when the likes of like Ricky Gray was on, there were still people there, but a few people that, were more like harder styled people, just, they filtered away, and they weren't as good. So we got sort of towards the end of Gamma's set, and I started to develop a bit of a headache, and then we got sort of through sort of a Ricky Gray set, and the headache started to get like quite bad, to the point where I actually thought, you know what, like I actually don't feel too good. And then we got out of Ricky Gray's set and into J Track's set, which was the final set of the night. And I really did not feel good at this point. I felt really thin. I felt really hot. And I started feeling sick. And then before you know it, I'm throwing up in a bin. And I just didn't feel good. I just genuinely just really just for in that moment just felt like shocking. Like I was just chucking one. My headache was just absolutely pounding, and I was throwing up all the drinks that I'd had throughout the day, the tangos and the water and stuff, and it just wasn't good. It was just a horrible feeling. It was obviously it was like a sunstroke sort of thing, you know. Obviously I just spent too much time in the sun. I'd had no food all day. It was just absolutely horrible. It was the worst feeling ever. And I know that I should have eaten something, but when you're in the middle of nowhere, there's no food place, and even if you walked like to the top of the lane, like up on a serious level, you literally just like a main road, but it's like a countryside main road, no town, no village. You're sort of somewhere not far off the A19, sort of near the motorways. There was no like town or anything, that you could just walk to, and people was like going to the top of the lane at the end of the event, and there was ringing a taxi. So it wasn't necessarily within a walking distance to walk to the nearest Macca's. So I couldn't do that. So I think just the lack of food, and then the fact that I was in the heat all day, just really didn't help. And then obviously I just felt really bad, and I was like proper spewing up. And I'm sat in Lehman's car before we leave, and I'm sat with the door open, and I keep getting out to go and be sick. And people are asking me if I'm all right, because I obviously really didn't look well. And people could see I was chucking one, and even people saying like, "Have you had too much to drink?" And I'm like, "I don't even drink alcohol." Um, you know and I was in that position where I didn't know where to put myself, and I felt like I was maybe being a little bit like rude to people, like, but I just wanted people to essentially just to fuck off and leave me alone, because when I'm in that state, it's not a nice state to be in. You know, when you're absolutely chucking one. And I didn't like the fact that I was throwing up in like a public outdoor rave where people are gonna see me spewing up. It's not an image that I like people to see. You know, and I just really felt like, don't come over and talk to me. Like, I don't feel, you know, I'm not up to any. I don't feel well enough to talk to people. I just need something, you know, like for this to pass. You know, so it was just a horrible feeling. So I got sat in Layman's car, and then I kept getting out to sort of like spew up for a bit, and then we drove to a McDonald's, and I laid with my eyes shut and the window wide open, and the breeze was blowing at me like a really cold breeze. I didn't even have a top on at this point, so I proper like cooled myself down. And then we got to the Mackies, and I didn't feel 100%, but I felt better than I did. It was like the sickness had sort of weared off, and that the headache was still sort of there, but it was kind of getting better. And then I sat in McDonald's, and I sat for a bit. Lehman ordered. I didn't order anything at this point. I sat there for a bit, and then like literally I literally sat there, and then I thought, do you know what, I'm gonna go and get myself a cup of tea. So I ordered a cup of tea, and then I thought, I haven't eaten all day, maybe I should try and eat something. So I ordered just like a plain hamburger and a large chip. So, you know, I didn't want anything too fancy. And then it came to the table, and then I just didn't feel up to really eating it. So I managed to eat the burger. I ate some of the chips, and I gave the rest of them to Lehman, because he said he was still hungry and he was going to order something else. And I said, you know, and I said to him, I said, what was you thinking of ordering? Because I don't think I can eat these chips. You know, if you want them, and it saves wasting money. Um, so I sort of ate a few chips and then sort of gave them to him. I just didn't feel up to it, and then I just sort of sat there and drank the cup of tea. And then I like sort of slowly got a bit better. So I reckon if I'd have drank the cup of tea and sat for a bit and then got the food, I probably would have been able to eat the food, because it was like I was getting better. And it was like more as I'd like cooled off. So I think it was like definitely a heat stroke thing. But yeah, I just didn't feel good. And then even when I got back home, like, although I felt a lot better than I did, like I didn't feel 100%. So I just sort of took my shoes off and sort of took myself up to bed. Just had a quick check on my phone, and then just went to bed essentially. I just really, like I say, I just didn't feel totally right still. And then I woke up this morning, and I didn't feel 100%, but I just sort of got better as the day went on. And I've just taken it steady today. I've not like gone out anywhere or walked anywhere. I've stayed at home, and just, you know, done stuff at home. It just wasn't a good feeling. I just didn't feel good, and it was a shame, because I won't say it ruined the night, because it was like right near the end of the night where I got ill. So I witnessed like the best part of the day, like not feeling ill. But it was just the fact of feeling ill in front of people. I think that, you know, like, yeah, fair enough. Like if you're just with like a mate, and you fall a bit ill, like that's a bit different. But you've got like people that you see all over at different events, and they're witnessing you like being sick, and they don't, you know, we're in a rave, they don't put it down to heat stroke. They think, oh, he's drank too much, or someone spiked him, or he's had something. And you know, and that was obviously not the case. But people don't, you know, you're in a rave, people just think, oh, he's had too much. And you know. So yeah, it did sort of put a little bit of a downer on the end, but it most certainly didn't ruin the day. And I most certainly hope it didn't ruin Layman's day either. Sort of being ill, sort of like towards the end. But it was just, I just, you know, it was just mad, like how 1 minute I'm all right, and then how like quickly you can just become so ill. Like, you know, 1 minute I'm all right, and then the next minute I'm chucking one. You know, with like no warning. Like you just get a headache, and then before you know it, your headache's pounding, you feel sick. And it just, you know, it wasn't a good feeling. It really wasn't a horrible. It was just a horrible feeling. By all means, which, like I said, just wasn't good. in that sense. So, but that was the weekend's antics, and then like I say today. I've had I had a hardcore mix earlier on the decks, covered a radio show for someone that couldn't make it. Had a little bit of a session on FL earlier. I'm working on a really good track at the moment that I can't wait to share with you all. It's sounding good, so there will be a preview coming up very soon. It's a very sort of happy, it's got a real happy piano in it, and it's a little bit different to stuff that I normally do. Like even though like some of my other tracks feature like pianos in them, they do give a bit more of a clubby feel, whereas this one has gone with like a proper sort of like summer piano vibe to it, which was good. And then, like I say, on Friday, my remix of Owl City, Good Time, got released on Bouncecore Records. It came out on Friday, and yeah, I guess it's just a case of what do I want to release with them next. And I'm thinking next, I'm actually going to put up a track for free download because I've been like, I was kind of like, just a free download person, and before I got signed, like everything I did, if I wanted to do something with it, I'd put it up as a free download. So everything I ever did, like on the Layman Productions and the stuff I still do on there, we have the Pretty Green Eyes coming, all as a free download, and everything like that. And since I've been like getting signed, if people have wanted my music, the new stuff, it's right, it's 150 a track. So for people that are used to just grabbing something for free of mine, it most definitely will be a little bit of not just a shock to them, but a little bit of a change. And it'll be nice to give back and say, look, I'm still going to put stuff out for free now and again. So I am going to pick a track and put it up for free. And give it to you, all as a free download, just something that I'll put up myself. Won't go through any labels or anything. It'll just, I'll simply put a link up and you can download it, and I'll put it on my socials, a hype edit link or something, which will be good. Just something a little bit different. That not about whether I can get it released or not. I probably could. It's just a case of luck. I'll do it just because I'm due to give you something for free because I put a lot of my tracks up, have been signed, and you pay for them. In that sort of sense. But other than that, like for sending to the label wise for the future, I'm not sure what I'm gonna send them next. I've got a choice of 3 tracks at the moment that I'm like 100% happy that they are like ready to like be mastered and sent to the label. So like there's 3 tracks there, but one of them I might put up as the free download. So if I put one up as the free download, there'll most definitely be 2 that will most probably definitely go to the label. It's just a case of which one. Because I've kind of got this like I've kind of got this like catalog, like separate catalog of tunes. So there was like so last year when I started like proper really diving into production and like proper putting the nail on it now and thinking, right, I want to try and get releases and stuff here, was when I started with the remix of You're So Beautiful, which is going to come out on Layman Productions. And I did kind of what I class as like the first half, so like the first part of my tunes. So like I had all these, so there was You're So Beautiful, Kiss Me Through the Phone, Meet Me at the Hotel Room, You're Not Alone in Another Life, Breathe Slow and Impossible, and they were all kind of part of the first batch of tunes, along with the Feel So Close, which came out for free at Christmas. And then sort of the beginning of this year was when I started on the second batch of tunes, and that's where you've got stuff like I See the Light, Back for Me, and then there's also like I did a remix of Elysium I Go Crazy, which will never get released, just for the record. Then I've done like Ultra Beat, I Wanna Touch You. I've done Hangover, and then I've done like or When I'm Not With You. So all of these are kind of like the more newer stuff that I've been working on this year. So I'm kind of getting through that like batch of releasing the older stuff, and then it'll be sort of like going back to some of the newer stuff and thinking like, right, what do I actually want to properly focus and finish? Because I write some tracks when I get the idea for them, and then I do it because like if I don't put it down, I'll forget about the idea. Or I'll be like, there was a track I wanted to do and I can't remember what it is. Whereas if I at least start something, there's something there, and then I'll start like a load of tracks, and then I'll go back to them and think like, right, which one do I actually want to finish? Which one do I like more? Do I want to actually finish? And the Hangover one, I really liked that. The Ultra Beat, I Want to Touch You, I really like that one. The Back for Me, I do like that one as well. That one again is another really good tune, so I will be doing something with that one most definitely. I See the Light. I do like it, but I think I might possibly maybe just add some little tweaks to that, but we'll see how it goes. And then there was also like Who Are You as well. Forgot to mention that one. There's Unknown Paradigm, and then there's like some other tracks as well that need like a little bit of finishing off. But apart from that, like it's just a case of going through and seeing like which ones, like right, listen, look, I'm gonna finish this one up because I like this one, and I want to take this track all the way, and take it from there. But I'm always working on stuff, and I could be like, I could have 5 tracks on the go. If I get an idea for something else, I will happily start a 6th track because I don't like to forget about ideas. And if I've got an idea, like you never know. Like, you get an idea to do a track in your head and you could start working on it and it could just become that banger that you don't know. And sometimes I think like I get these ideas for a reason. I don't get them for no reason. So I can't just ignore the fact that I've got this idea. So I have to at least somewhat like explore what I call the basic avenues. So can I get the acapella if it's a remix? Can I get the MIDI? Can I get a MIDI file, because MIDI files, they're easier. Although maybe it is, I wouldn't say it's cheating, but it gives you the melody essentially just in a MIDI. And then if I can't get the MIDI, is it easy to write? Can I look at writing it? And so in a lot of cases with some of the tracks, I have actually wrote like melodies for them, or I have actually wrote the piano notes for them if I've not been able to get a MIDI. So it all just sort of depends on what you can get, what you can't get. And then that is like the first step for me. And then that is like tick 1. So then I'm thinking, well, at least I can actually start this remix, and then I'll start it. And then if I like where it's going, I'll save it, and I'll keep going back to it. If it's something that I'm not too sure of, I'll save it, but I'll just sort of wait until I get like another idea for it, or I'll keep just trying a few different things out to see, like if it becomes something that I actually like, and then if I do like it, then I'll be like, oh yeah, wicked, let's actually turn this into a proper, let's do this. And it all just depends. But sometimes that, like I did a track and we did it on stream, and it was a remix of David Guetta, and it was called Turn Me On, and it just the vocal wasn't that good, and the remix just didn't sound that good. It wasn't something that I felt could work, so we scrapped it. And I'll probably never go back to it unless I can find like a better vocal, or unless I could like get it re-sung. But I don't think the track's that good enough in itself to that I'd pay to get it re-sung. Like I wasn't that excited about doing a remix of it. I just thought it'd be something different and something cool. But it's not something that I feel personally I'd spend money into making it happen, because I just don't think it would be that good. Like it'd be a little bit different, and people are going, yeah, I haven't heard that one for a while, but that'd be about it. There's nothing in my eyes that I think would have been like amazingly spectacular about it. But I guess who knows? You never know, do you? But yeah. So anyway, that is literally it. So yeah, a few updates on the tracks. I'll just say about gigs before we go. Obviously, I said at the start of the stream. From next weekend, we've got 3 weekends in a row of gigs, which is absolutely crazy, and they all exciting me. They're all exciting. So so this Friday, I'm back over in Cleethorpes at the Fusion nightclub, and I actually it's a really small nightclub, but I actually like it. I don't know why, but I actually enjoy playing there because I think it's because it's very um they're very easy about sort of like what you can do and what you can't do, and you just turn up there and it just feels like it's just you in the world behind the decks, and the place never gets like not to run the venue down, but it never gets like mega busy. There's some events that do better than others, obviously. The point being is, it just has a really nice feel to it, and you really feel like it. You just get that chance to go into a venue and just jump behind some good decks and just have a good mix and have a good sing song and if anything, enjoy yourself. And I think that's sort of like the vibe that I like about being sort of like at this club. So like I look forward to going there. So this Friday, it's a hardcore event, and it's Mike Riveri. So we've got Mike Riveri who is stepping in. He's headlining the show, and then we've got myself playing. There's like some other people playing, like Dave Barnett. There's Edo from Hull. He's playing. I think he's sort of like put this event on. And then there's like some other people, Orlando. I think maybe I don't know if Gareth Davis is playing as well, but I can see the flyer from here. I just can't see it like properly enough to read all the small print. So it should be an exciting little event, and of course I'll document some videos. I ain't gonna speculate at this point, but I think I will probably more than likely drive down with Edo again. We did at the last event, we did the reflection. We was both on the lineup, so I just said, look, can I jump in the ride with you? So I probably will let me jump in with him again. Or I know it's his event, so if anything, I might maybe the worst probably get the bus there and then just ride back with him. Because I've got nothing on the Saturday. That no gigs on the Saturday, so. To be fair, if I do something on the Saturday, that could alternatively open up a weekend antics. But like I said, there's nothing planned, so it's not like I have to be back. So like if I had to stay till like the end of the event, like that wouldn't really bother me, in that sense. And then the following week, we're all the way over in Stoke-on-Trent for Bounce to Infinity, and I've been looking forward to this one for a while, and I first got this booking all the way back in January, believe it or not. Like all the way back in January was when I first got this, and that was just absolutely crazy to think. And all the way back then was when I got this opportunity to play in the second room alongside like ADF and Stocker and Righty and Davy G and stuff like that. But in the main room, there's Cheese, John Neal, Shiv, Andy Whitby, Sick Individual, JDH, Serious Sounds, Nixie and Devise. It's going to be an amazing event. It's going to go off, and I'm so privileged and honoured to be on that lineup, and hopefully I do a good enough job in the second room that they notice me, and they choose to book me again in the future, or involve me in another project in the future, because I always love a good adventure. I love a good journey. I love a good venture, and I'm looking forward to it. And it'll be a really good sort of atmosphere to play for. And then the following weekend, I am going and making my return to Stomfest, which is for me it's just going back home. I first got invited to their festival last year, nearly a year ago now, and myself and the layman, we performed our live tracks. We did our knife tracks and our positive reggae tracks. We did them live on stage, and it was an amazing atmosphere all day. And the whole vibe was good. I ended up hosting sets on the mic, and the whole festival vibe, just taking over the yards in Kettering, was just amazing. And I'm actually super stoked to be going back. I'm not gonna lie. It's for me, it's just going to be absolutely fantastic. The whole atmosphere is going to go off, and if we're having weather like we've been having, real nice sunshine and stuff, it'll just add to the day, as long as it's obviously not like too warm. But if it's definitely a nice sunny day with no rain, we definitely won't complain. So they're like the 3 weekends, starting from next weekend, where, like I say, Fusion, Bounce to Infinity, and then Stomfest, which again I can't wait for that. And then the following week I have a work event, which it's an open day with the Sunflower Band, at Find in Cottingham, and that's a venue where we essentially um, do our sort of like band practice, if you like. I think I'll be going there this Wednesday with work, so I'll be there this Wednesday through work, and that's sort of like the dealio, and that's sort of what happens, and what goes down, and what takes place. There, they're having like an opening day, and they're inviting people in. And then the following week, we've got Freshly Squeezed in Hull, which is I can't wait for that. It's the first time, like in a long time, that a proper bounce event is coming to Hull. I'm a bit skeptical of how well it's going to do, because there isn't a lot of bounce in Hull, and I'm guessing there's a reason for it. Like maybe it doesn't do well, but I think it's going to attract like a little bit of a different crowd of people. It's at the Piper nightclub, so it might attract some like student area sort of like people, and bounce has become sort of like quite commercial as well. So there's a lot of like bounce chart tunes, and a lot of feel good tracks that people know and remember. So I don't think it'll be like going into a venue and blasting out like a full hardcore and gabba set to people that necessarily like go to R&B nights. I think they might like the bounce a little bit more. If it's just a little bit sort of like not too hard pounding. So we'll see, but I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a good night, Freshly Squeezed. It should be an absolutely belting event that I can't wait for it to go down and take place. And then the following week, I'm all the way over in Leicester for the Core Vibes. So that event is actually creeping up quite quickly as well, because I got asked about that event for a very very long time. So like Stormfest, the Core Vibes, the Summer Vibes, and the Bounce to Infinity. I've known about these bookings for a while, and a long while before I've announced them as well. So the Bounce to Infinity, like I say, was all the way back in January. The Stormfest I've known about pretty much since not long after last year. I was quite sort of aware that they wanted me back. I just didn't know how and when, and when it would be. And then I got confirmation quite early on that yeah, we want you back, blah blah blah. And then, like I say, the Core Vibes, I got asked about that very early on, and I even designed the flyer for them, and stuff like that. So it was good vibes all around, most definitely. Good vibes all around. So I'm looking forward to all the events. Very very busy time, and then I take a short break as I go on a family holiday all the way over to the Isle of Man. I have a week away for my nan and granddad's wedding anniversary. I was told don't take any bookings during that week, and I've literally not had any bookings during that week, apart from one person has inquired about booking me, and it's actually on the day that we travel back, and it's for an event in Scarborough, and you'll know, if you're a long time subscriber of this channel, you'll know all about the event. And I'm just not certain yet whether I'll actually be able to make the event, because it's a little bit like, because we're going to get back quite late. I would imagine like we'll get back probably like tea time or something like that. And then like if I was to like jump straight on a train to Scarborough, it probably will be a little bit tiring for me. But I'll have a little bit of like a think about it. And just essentially see how it takes me, and sort of like see where we go. We're coming back on the Saturday, so they're going to be on the Saturday night, and we're going to be they'll be rocking it out, and it'll just be interesting to see, whether I can make it or not. I'm pretty doubtful that I will, because I think it is just going to be a little bit of a, we're coming all the way back from the Isle of Man, so we're getting up quite early to get a boat at like 7:45 in the morning. So, we have to sort of wake up like sort of, probably by about sort of like 6:30, sort of, to sort of have some breakfast. Well, we usually have like a proper breakfast on the boat, but we'll probably have like a slice of toast or something, as my nan always does, and then we have to sort of like get all the like luggage and stuff back into the car, and if we've got to like return any keys back or whatever we have to do, and then we're not actually in the town where the boat is, where we're actually out in the country, so we're going to have to drive back from the little town back to Douglas to actually get the boat. And if we are on like the 7:45 in the morning boat, then we'll have to be there early, which then we get into Heysham about midday, so we get there about sort of like 11:45 or something like that. And then sort of by the time you get off the boat, it's like 12 o'clock, and then it's that drive back on on the motorways all the way back to obviously back home. So by the time you get home, it's like it gets on to like sort of like 3-4 o'clock, that kind of thing. And then if you've got to start thinking like, right, I'm gonna have to get a train or something to Scarborough. Do you know what I mean? It's a lot of travelling for one day, most definitely. So we'll just see how it goes. But quite personally, like I could see that this could be something that I'll have to sadly say no to. But because of what it is, and because of the reason why it's happening, it was something that I wanted to be involved with, because it's something that plays a big part in my sort of like music journey, especially in the early days. So it was something that I really wanted to benefit, and something that I really wanted to be a part of. But like I say, it just might not, sadly, be possible in that sense. So anyway, that is going to do it for the stream. Make sure to like, make sure to comment, make sure to share, and we'll see you next time. God, I've spot for